Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And today I am going to do a book review, but I need to do this now because if I don't do it now, I'm scared I'm going to lose my voice because I'm sick and I blame whoever got my husband sick because they passed it to my husband who passed it to me. So thank you for that. So I need to do this before I completely lose my voice because my throat is already sore. So if I sound a little bit nasally, I'm sorry. But anyway, let's get to it. About a week ago, I finished The Scarlet Star by Jennifer Kropf. I think that's how you say her name. I'm not 100% sure. And I liked this one. The Scarlet Star is a Christian fantasy based on the story of Esther in the book of Esther in the Bible and Beauty and the Beast. And those vibes start really early. To be perfectly honest, this book can be very on the nose. And that becomes apparent super early, considering the king in this book is still King Xerxes, who is the king of Babylon or Persia. He's the king in the book of Esther. And our protagonist, who is Rin, her full name, her full noble name, is Asterin. It also includes the character Kai, who is her cousin, or Malachi. So if you don't mind things being that on the nose, I think you'll like it. I didn't mind it, but I know some people are like, that's too on the nose for me, and completely get it. Anyway, basically, Xerxes runs into Rin's father in the very beginning of the book and states that he will trade his daughter for his life. Very Beauty and the Beast coded, quite actually, it's straight out of the fairy tale. Very horrible dad vibes. Even Xerxes is like, dude, really? You're okay. So basically, this causes Bryn to be taken to the castle by the folk or the king's guard and puts her in the 12-week trial of what is called the Heart Stealer's trial. Normally, there are only 3 girls. She is a 4th. Thing is, she's kind of an outsider. They are actually rivals. And he doesn't know that. The religion of Persiana, I think that's how you say that, is they believe in gods called the celestial divinities or the 7 divinities. And the king is actually has a the king actually has a council known as the intelligentsia, which is basically just a council of sages who have like connections to these celestial divinities. And Rin is not actually a noble, and she doesn't actually believe in the celestial divinities. She is of a different religion, and I believe that's pronounced Adriel. So anybody who's read the Book of Esther pretty much knows where that part of the story is going, including the 12-week Heartstealer trial. The intelligentsia set up the Heartstealer's trial in order to find King Xerxes a new wife, as his wife was mysteriously killed. So now they're like, we have to find you a new wife, but they already know who they want. And they are completely taken off guard when Xerxes is like, oh, by the way, I've added a 4th Heartstealer. And they're like, you can't do that. He's like, I'm the king. I can do whatever I want. It's been a while since I read the beginning of the book, but I do think that's kind of what he says. Rin has to remain in this Heartstealer's trial while praying to the god of the Adriels, asking for guidance, and not get caught. That she is, in fact, an outsider and participate in these trials. I loved it personally. I thought it was a really well done fantasy. The religions are obviously completely fantastical, they're made up, but I think it was still done really well. And like I said, it is super on the nose with the part of it being about being inspired by the Book of Esther and Beauty and the Beast. Xerxes has an ailment, which he basically has these voices in his head telling him, kill this person, kill this person, kill the maiden. Like, then they're always in his head, and he has to eat these pears to basically silence the voices. So it's basically his medicine. So that is kind of his beastly quality. I hope that's not actually a spoiler, I'm not gonna lie, but that's basically his beastly quality. It's actually kind of scary. And he knows he killed his first wife, but he doesn't remember doing it. This book has romance, friendship, some obvious religious themes. And if you read the Book of Esther, some of these story beats you will know, but it doesn't completely follow her story because it's inspired by But I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I gave it a 4.5. And I'm just going to say that cliffhanger, that was just mean. And the second book doesn't come out until probably April or May of this year. So I gave this book a 4.5 stars. I really liked it. I liked the characters. I found Xerxes and um, Rin actually very believable. I found their chemistry really good. I liked them. I do like a lot of the other characters as well. Like you have Giovanni, who is the only priestess of the Adriels allowed in the palace. You have Hiva, who is a folk who she becomes friends with Rin. You have Matthias, who is her friend from the outside and somehow made his way into the folk. And you have the intelligentsia. Now, these guys are kind of scary. They have like absolutely no emotion. The intelligentsia basically are a council that they have some sort of connection to the celestial divinities or these 7 gods that they worship in Persiana. If you know anything about Christian theology, you know this is not the best sign. And they are basically trying to run the country behind Xerxes' back. They already have the heart stealer they want chosen, and he knows this pretty much at the beginning of the book. Which is why he adds Rin, who is just this wrench in their plans, and they're like, okay, we'll deal with it. I found Xerxes incredibly believable. He was very vulnerable. There's a lot of spiritual and Christian topics in this book, and they're not necessarily subtle, which I don't hate. I know a lot of people like their Christian fantasy to have their religious themes more subtle, which is fine. I just thought in this book specifically, it was just well executed. The story also goes into a surprising amount of spiritual warfare, which I was not expecting, but I also didn't hate, and it kind of gives that warfare a visualization. I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to spoil this for anyone who actually wants to read it, but I liked it. I thought it was really well done, and I cannot wait for the sequel. And the reason I have a 4.5 for it is I literally was like 100 pages from the end of this book, and I kept avoiding it because like I don't want this book to end. I don't want this book to end. I don't want there to be a cliffhanger. No, I want this to continue, and nope. I have to wait for book 2, just like everyone else who has read this book. Basically, if you're into Christian fiction or Christian fantasy and don't mind some of the story beats being completely on the nose, I think you'll like this book. I liked it. I did not mind that these things were kind of it was very obvious what she was inspired by. I didn't mind. But if you're looking for like a complete and accurate retelling of Esther, that's not what this is. Which I did actually appreciate. It's not beat for beat the story of Esther. So if you actually want to read the book of Esther, go to your Bible and read the book of Esther. But if you've read the book of Esther, I do think it's actually really fun to read because it's like, oh, I get this. But I do highly recommend for any Christian readers out there. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was really good. I forgot to mention that Persiana is also on the brink of war, which adds which adds an outside threat along with the inside threats. There's a lot of tension. And honestly, Xerxes is so done with the intelligentsia. He's like, I'm so done with y'all. I liked it. I thought it was good. I cannot wait for the second one. That's pretty much all I have on this. I gave it a 4.5. I will say this. I do feel like I was a little bit harsh when I started reading it because immediately, like, I read like that first paragraph in her book and then she has the hook, and I'm just like, you could have deleted that first paragraph entirely and use that second paragraph as like a really good hook. And I will admit, I did have to get used to her writing style. It's not bad, it's just not something I'm used to. So I think that's stuff like that is kind of stuff like that, and the fact that it's really, really on the nose, I think is really what gave it that 4.5 instead of like a full 5 star. But I did enjoy it. I do recommend it to anyone who's interested in Christian fantasy. If you are okay with the on the nose storytelling. And that's all I have to say about the Scarlet Star. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know this was a quick one, but I am terrified I'm going to lose my voice. I already need some water, and I highly recommend The Scarlet Star by Jennifer Kropf. Especially if you are a Christian reader like me, zero spice, yearning, slow burn romance. It is so good. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.